Now this last one is one that I personally use. It's the PAIP. So here's a great short intro from Backlinko. So I've highlighted the most important elements. So the very first one we're going to look at is probably the most popular, which is AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. And this one's a little bit of a tongue twister. It's PPPP, which basically means picture, promise, proof, and push. Got to be careful with that one. So what I'm going to do is going to show you an example of how it's used if I was going to write an article about how to boil an egg. Have you ever wondered why some articles just don't grab your attention? I used to struggle with this for years, always wondering why I couldn't keep the reader's attention. But just think about it, how many articles really grab your attention in the first paragraph? It's kind of rare, right? In this video, I'm going to show you the #1 article flaw that most writers have and how to get around it. So stick around to the very end. So what are we talking about in this video? We're talking about introductions and how you can make them better, because most intros are absolutely terrible. There's a lack of relevance. So if the intro doesn't immediately grab the reader's attention or relate to their interest, they may quickly lose interest and move on to something else. And then lastly, lack of value. If the intro doesn't provide any value to the reader, such as useful information or insights, they may not even see the point in continuing to read the article. So how do you know if an article is too long or too short? An intro should be short and sweet. I would say in the region of 100 to 200 words. And the reason why you want to keep it short and sweet is you want to capture and also maintain their attention. So if we look at this article by CoSchedule, they say that you need to cover the 5 W's in an interesting, non-info dumping way. So that's the who, what, when, and why. So here's a great short intro from Backlinko. So I've highlighted the most important element. In 2022, Google updated its EAT guidelines to include an extra E for experience. But what does this mean for SEO efforts? So he's asking a question here. He then goes on to actually let you know what the guide's going to be about, and then also reiterates saying, my aim is to tell you everything you need to know about Google's EEAT, how to make it work for you. Let's go. So as you can see, he's getting right to the point. I mean, you can see how short this is before he even gets into the article. And this is a prime example of a short intro. This is kind of where you need to be at. You can either break it down into elements like this, as in bullet points, or you can have it maybe as a couple of paragraphs. Another example is from ConvertKit. This is how this creator went from 20% to 50% open rates by switching to ConvertKit. And if we scroll down, obviously we've got a video here, so you can either watch the video, or if you want to read the article, there's only, again, can you see this, a very, very short intro. So if we read this very quickly, Dan Go runs a successful fitness coaching and course business that focuses on helping creators live healthier lives. But to make the impact, Dan needs to reach people with his content, especially his newsletters, which both teach free content and share more info about his paid programs. But this is where it gets interesting. This is where the intro gets interesting. But he was running into a big problem, one that was affecting his impact and his income. Now look, further in this video, I'm going to show you the different formats you can use by using a problem or an issue that somebody's having, and you can kind of address their problems in the intro. Next one we're going to look at is Lemon Tree Dwelling. You can see how short this intro is. Switch up your holiday menu with this delicious butternut squash stuffing. Really short and sweet. Now, I never really used to spend that much time on my intros. I was more concentrated on getting all the points down in the article, and didn't even really give it a second thought until I started looking at the metrics and realized it's so important to get the intros correct. And one of the main reasons for that is bounce rate. The bounce rate measures the percentage of people who left the website without visiting another page beyond the one they entered a site on. A high bounce rate can also indicate that visitors are not finding what they are looking for on your site, whereas a low bounce rate can indicate that visitors are engaged and interested in your content. And let's face it, with the sheer amount of AI content that's coming out now, you're battling against so many other articles, thousands of articles that are probably on the same topic. And you've got to get this little part at the very top of your article, you've got to get that right, because if you don't get it right, you're going to start losing rankings because your bounce rate is going to skyrocket. So buckle in and start taking notes, because I'm going to show you some different copywriting formats that the pros use, and I'm also going to show you the one that I personally use, so stick around to the very end. So the very first one we're going to look at is probably the most popular, which is AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. Now this formula is one of the oldest and most widely used copywriting formulas. It calls on the writer to get the reader's attention, attract their interest in the related product or service, and it makes them desire the product or service, and finally call the reader to action. The next one is PAS, which is problem, agitation, and solution. action. With this one, the formula is ideal for copywriting that offers a solution to that problem. So first, what you're going to do is you're going to explain to the prospect what the problem is. From there, you stir the pot and you describe how a situation might worsen without a fix. Then finally, you present a winning solution for them. The next one is FAB, which stands for features, advantages and benefits. Now this formula is ideal for copywriting that focuses on the features of a product or service, and it also calls on the writer to describe the features of that product or service. It explains the advantages of their features and finally describes the benefit of those advantages. And this one's a little bit of a tongue twister. It's PPPP, which basically means picture, promise, proof and push. Got to be careful with that one. This formula is ideal for copywriting that focuses on the benefits of the product or service. Again, it also calls on the writer to paint a picture of those benefits, make a promise to the reader, and then provide proof that the promise is true, and finally push the reader to take action. The next one is BAB, which is before, after and bridge. Now this one's ideal if you want to focus on the transformation of that product or service. You also get to describe the reader's situation, so you're really getting close and relating to them, and in this way you describe the transformation that the product or service can provide them. And then finally what you do is you bridge the gap between the two of them. The next one is PAPA, which is PAPA, which stands for problem, agitation, provide, action. Now this one's very similar to the others. It focuses on providing a solution to the problem. It calls the writer to describe the problem, agitate the problem, and then provide a solution for it. The next one on the list is ACCA, which is awareness, comprehension, conviction, and action. This one's ideal if you want to educate your reader on your product or service, but at the same time create an awareness about that product or service. Within this intro, you want to explain what your product or service is about and ensure that they understand what it's about, and then call on the reader to take action. Now this last one is one that I personally use. It's the PAIPS copywriting framework. And this particular one stands for problem, agitate, intrigue, positive future, and solution. So what I'm going to do is going to show you an example of how it's used if I was going to write an article about how to boil an egg. So one of the very first things we would do is if we were looking to use the PAIPS copywriting framework, is we'd basically start off with a problem. So looking at how to boil an egg, the way we'd describe it as an introduction would be struggling with inconsistent boiled eggs. So that's the problem. And then we would agitate that problem by saying it's not just you, many face the challenge of overcooked or undercooked eggs, leading to a less than perfect breakfast experience. We'd then stoke a bit of intrigue, but what if there was a secret tip that could change everything? So that's the question. We'll then give them a positive future. And again, it's up to you whether you use this P within the framework. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what type of article that you're writing. So with the positive future, we would say, imagine waking up to a flawless boiled egg every morning, setting the tone for a great day. And then lastly, we've got the solution. Our step-by-step guide is the answer. And I say guide, it could be article, it could be video, but you would say our step-by-step guide is the answer, ensuring you get the perfect egg every single time. And that's the PAIPS framework, which is the one that I actually use. So I can appreciate that that's quite a lot to take in, and that's quite a lot of different copyrighted formats that you can actually use. So what I'll do is I'll leave in the description of this video, I'll leave a link to the presentation that I've just given there, so you can choose which copywriting framework you want to use. Like I said, I use the PAPS one, or the PAIPS one. That's the one that I personally use in order to write my articles and give a really great introduction. Now, I don't just say this because I want your article to be nice and pretty. This is going to increase your conversion rates, while at the same time, it's also going to decrease your bounce rates too. But let me know in the comments, is this something that you have ever done yourself? Have you ever thought about doing this? And also, can you see the importance of actually doing this as well? I can say hand on heart, since I've started doing this, conversion rates on the articles that I write and some of the outsourcers that I use write have actually shot through the roof. So why not give it a try? Like I said, I'll leave the slides in the actual description of this video if you want to download them. And if you have a look at the next video, it's also going to show you some SEO and some content marketing techniques.